yet? Okay, the next thing we want to discuss is relationships between a table. Okay, there are, as we said with the CD database, there are two different entities, the CD and the owner. An owner can make a variety of CDs available. So for example, an owner can have lots of CDs, but a CD may only have one owner. That is actually how we describe the relationship. So we call it a one-to-many relationship because a single one owner could provide a number or many CDs, but it doesn't work backwards because a CD cannot have many owners, so it's simply one-to-many. Sorry. There are other relationships like one-to-one, where basically that would be where a CD can only have one owner and one owner can have a CD, or many-to-many, where one owner could have many CDs or many CDs could have many owners. But we are mostly going to use the one-to-many relationship. So I'm pretty sure your PAT will use a one-to-many relationship, and pretty much 98% of the link tables we use are a one-to-many relationship. But you should at least know of the other relationships. But we're pretty much going to use the one-to-many all the time. It is indicated also by 1:m. 1-to-1 is 1:1, and many-to-many is m:(m). So this just describes the relationship between our two diagrams. So if it's one-to-many, it means one can have multiples, but the other one can only have one of it. Okay. Let me just take, for example, another example. So let's just say, for example, I created a database for teachers and students, right? So teachers and register students. So I have one table of teachers, the registered teachers, and students. I would have all the information, but the students would also have a field for their registered teacher. That could be a one-to-many relationship because a registered teacher can have multiple students, but the students can only have one registered teacher. Okay, that's another example of a one-to-many relationship. Okay, so just some notes. The data concerning the, okay, so let's just look at the table on page 150. Again, we see our CD table, and now our owner table is two different tables. You can see, as I said, the CD table has the owner ID, which is the foreign key, which appears as the primary key under owner table. And as we said, so the owner ID in the owner table can only appear once, but it can appear multiple times in the CD table because a CD can have an owner can have multiple CDs, but a CD can only have one owner. So for example, the data concerning the owner of the CD or killer no filler can be found in owner table, where the primary key is equal to 3. A field that is not a primary key, that is used to link the field in another table, as I said, is called a foreign key. So every time we link a table, it's basically figuring out which is the foreign key. It's basically a field that appears in both of them. It is a primary key in one and not a primary key in the other. The name of the field that is used to link the two tables does not need to be the same in both tables. So they can have different names or they can have the same name. However, they must be the same data type, but we will discuss that more when we actually learn how to link them in databases, which will come up in the next section. Before that, however, let's look at our tuckshop example again. We saw that there were two entities. For example, we could have an item and supplier. All sweets and cool drinks are ordered from a specific general dealer, and the peanuts and dried fruit are ordered from a private supplier. Sandwiches are ordered from Mrs. Smith and pies from Mrs. Abrams. Okay, the contact details of the orders is also stored. So when you start working on a new problem and need to determine the most appropriate structures, it sometimes helps to draw a diagram of the scenario. So you can see they've drawn a diagram, which will actually help you with the previous example as well. You can see, for example, the general dealer sells chips, cool drinks, candies and chocolates, and we have some information like their cell number, their delivery day, and their delivery cost. Same with the others. Each item is only stored from one specific supplier. Each supplier offers a number of items. So again, we have that one-to-many. Supplier is the one, items is the many. Because each supplier offers many items, but the item can only have one. The item can only have one supplier. Okay. There are many ways to represent relationships with what we call ER diagrams, which are entity relationship diagram. You will have to do an entity relationship diagram for your PAT. I'm only going to teach you one type of entity relationship diagram, so this is the one you should use. It's called the crow's foot ERD, or entity relationship diagram. And it's a very, very simple diagram to draw. Every entity is represented by a rectangle. The name of the entity is a noun written in capital letters inside the rectangle. The relationship is represented by straight lines and symbols. You use a verb to describe the relationship. The one side is represented by double lines, and the many side is represented by three lays splayed out like a crow's foot. So I think that should be three lines splayed out. I'll say that. Lines splayed out like a crow's foot. Okay, here you can see some examples of entity relation diagram. So for example, we have two entities here, the supplier and item from our tuck shop. A supplier delivers the items. You can see the double lines here, so supplier is one, and item, because it's got that crow's foot, is many. Here we have again the register class and learners. So register class is one table, learners is another table. We have the verb in between contains. We have double lines here, so the register class is the one, and the learners is many. Remember, a register class can have many learners, but learners can only have one register class. Okay, and that's basically all you have to do. We should make our entity diagrams a little bit more specific. So when you draw them in your PAT, what you will have is just below the entity, you will have all its fields or attributes. So like under supplier, we would have name, contact number, delivery day. Under item, we would have, for example, name, price, amount. Under register class, for example, you can have classroom number, register teacher, I think that's it. And then under learners, you could have name, contact details, email, grade, etc. Okay, so you would also just have that under that. But that's how to do an entity relationship diagram. Okay, now for activity 2, the second part. A vacation resort in Drakensberg sends out rondavels, and as part of the package offers a cleaning service. There are 48 rondavels and 16 cleaners. Each cleaner is responsible for 3 rondavels. So the two entities for which data needs to be stored are rondavels and cleaners. We could store the following kind of attributes about rondavels: number of rooms, number of bathrooms, number of double beds, number of single beds, and whether they have a fireplace, yes or no. So indicate the following. Tell me which two entities about which data can be stored, which entity is the one and which is the many. And I want you to draw an ER diagram for this. The possible attributes of the cleaners, and which attribute of each entity can be used as a field to effectively connect them. So what are you going to use as the foreign key? And then you'll do the same thing for the travel agency. A small travel agency has 3 employees and a little more than 100 clients in their service. Each employee must work with a specific set of clients so they can build up a relationship with these people. A specific client is thus always helped by the same agent. So again, tell me which two entities do we have, which entity is one part of the relationship and which is the many, possible attributes for each entity, and which attribute of each entity can be used as a field to effectively connect the two tables. Okay, and again you'll draw an ER diagram. So that's what I want you guys to do for your 2 homeworks, activity 1 and activity 2 on page 102. As said, do them in your book and then take a photo, or do them on a Word document. I will not be putting the answers for these because there are no specific answers for it, but we will discuss it in Zoom and go through it together, your different ideas. So please make sure this is done. Okay, we will continue the rest of this chapter in the next lesson. I will see you guys next time.